Okay, hi everyone. Sorry for the delay there. I am Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot and very happy to be here today. So I have Bob Greska with me, and we are going to be talking about carbon C60. And he has been uh, working on this for many, many years. Actually, Bob, I don't have your bio in front of me. So if you can go ahead, we had some issues with webmasters and such lately. So I'm a little not organized. But Bob, if you could introduce yourself a little bit
Sure.
about your background and your, and your company and how you got into this field, really.
Okay. Well, I'll start in high school. I mentored under the guy who developed fiber optics. So he taught me quite a bit, Harold McDonald, and about material science and everything like that. And then I studied, I went to college and got a mechanical engineering degree and studied material science and specifically carbon, because carbon was the center of the periodic chart to me because it can either, share one electron, two electrons, three or four. So it can bond four ways. So it was very interesting to me. So I went into the carbon fiber industry in the aerospace business, and I built spacecraft out at Lockheed Missile and Space in Sunnyvale, California. And then I moved to Colorado and worked at Martin Marietta and built spacecraft and stuff like that, and all kinds of projects. And I ended up working for the head of research and development was my last position there, and I would just do oddball tasks for R&D and development. And then I started my own business because I got tired of making bombs of mass destruction in the defense industry, which is really offense. And so I quit, started my own business. My parents did not like that at all because I had a really good job. But I got tired of making, defense related things that hurt people. So I turned my efforts to health and human performance. I developed the altitude simulation chamber that put Tour de France cyclists on the top, and that Michael is it Michael Phelps? Yeah, won all the gold medals, the 19 golds, a swimmer. Same thing, the balloonist that went around the world, Steve Fawcett. He used the same technology so he could carry less oxygen. And I worked on carbon fiber springs for running shoes, and they got the Air Nikes, they knocked them off, and the Z coils, they knocked them off. So I'm an innovator. I'm a process developer. I worked with carbon for electrolysis of water to create hydrogen and alkaline water and so forth like that, using carbon as a substrate. And all that worked very well. So I've had a vast scientific R&D background. And
Okay,
then
and then what brought you to start your own company around C60?
Well, I'm an inventor basically, and I hang out with other inventors, and we needed some carbon 60 for a project. And out of the blue, since I've worked with carbon my whole life, for over 4 decades at the time, I said, I think I know how to make that. And so without looking at how anybody else does it, you go down to your laboratory, which I've had since I was 8 years old, and you go into your laboratory and you put some apparatus together and you make a tiny speck of it. And really about the dot, a period at the end of a sentence is about the first time I made it. It was a very small amount, billions of carbon 60 molecules, but just a small amount. So I scaled it up at that point and started using it, and then filled the entire room with all this carbon 60 dust, and I was breathing it. And I thought I might have toxified myself. And so I went home that evening and I said, oh my gosh, started researching everything about carbon 60. About 18 months, I stayed on the computer and went back to the lab because I gained more interest in it and found out it was going to be a very healing molecule. It could be because it can donate electrons. And where our body's a flow of electrons, and if you have molecules missing electrons, those are the troublesome, parts of your molecules don't function. They cause your cell not to function. They cause oxidative stress. And that organ or tissue or whatever doesn't work properly. That's the basic root cause for every health issue, is the molecules that are missing an electron. So I started trying, since I exposed myself to it, had no negative effects. And I had a very cleansing effect, but that's only my, my opinion, but I felt like I was very well cleansed at that point after inhaling so much of it. So I started to, there were two other companies out there selling carbon 60 as a dietary supplement. One in Chico, California, carbon 60 olive oil, and one in Czechoslovakia, Ceravada. And I said, wow, they're using a solvent extracted carbon 60, and I don't use any solvents anywhere in my process. So it affords two things. It's clean, and it's a very much smaller particle size, 200,000 times smaller. So for every one of their particles, as made carbon 60, we have very tiny ones that are 200,000 times smaller in size. So it's much more bioavailable in the body, gives up the electron just like these big particles do, but just being smaller, floats around your body, goes through all cell membrane walls and gets everywhere. And I started giving it to friends and family and seeing unbelievable results with it. And then started up a business, manufacturing and bottling it and shipping it and selling it all over the world right now, and mostly the United States, but we do sell it in several different countries.
Okay. So, and how many years has that been?
That's been 12 years.
Okay.
Since I developed the process to produce clean carbon 60. Yeah.
All right. So is that, when you say clean and you talk about solvents, what does that actually mean to the user? Is that something that it interferes with their body if people, I don't know, use solvents, or do they put solvents in there on purpose, or do they just appear and you have to get rid of them? How does that work?
That's part of their process. When they burn carbon rods like this, like an arc welder, and it produces soot, and about 10% of it is carbon 60. So they take that soot, basically in layman's term, they put it into a vat of solvent. All the heavy stuff, the rods, cones, and tubes float to the bottom. All the carbon 70, carbon 84, carbon 96 floats to the top. And the carbon 60 dissolves in the middle. So they take that solvent and they evaporate it all off. And during the evaporation process, it causes all the carbon 60 particles to cluster together like mud dries. When you see mud dry and mud crack, same type of effect. It forms these big chunks. And we don't use solvents. I didn't look at how anybody else made carbon 60. And so it's a new breakthrough process, which is clean with no solvents. So, solvents are toxic. Yeah, they're hydrocarbon solvents, like toluene is a big one that everybody else uses, but we don't use it.
Okay. Now, in terms of the health benefits, where did you research that? Did you also, you kind of explained you had a little bit experience thinking it was healing or healthy. And I know there's a huge explosion of it, so to speak, around the world, people using C60 and so on. So what is the upside of this for health?
Well, the upside is that carbon 60, being a spherical molecule, it looks like this, looks like a soccer ball made out of hexagons and pentagons. And so it's very symmetric and strong, so it can give up an electron without collapsing. Its shape is very critical. It's got about 80 electrons buzzing around here. And if you can give up one electron, that's only 1/80th of it. So it doesn't really become positively charged, only by 1/80th. So it's not very a strong pull. But it gives an electron to free radicals are molecules that are missing an electron. And they cause oxidative stress, they cause damage in your cell. And everybody's heard about antioxidants in food. This is like a super antioxidant because of the smallness and size.
Okay. Now, how much do you recommend people use every day?
Well, we mix it into a carrier oil, and we put it in a bottle. And basically, it's not a whole lot because it's very, very concentrated. These molecules are so small. Get this in here. Yeah, that's about a serving size. I'll put it in front of my white shirt. That's about how much you take in a dropper full. It's about an eighth of a teaspoon, not a whole lot. And you just put it in your mouth. There's no taste to it. It's black, but there's no taste to it at all. That's why we
Uh-huh.
choose the oil that we use. And we have also a topical mist, a spray on, which is water-based. This is carbon-60 in water. And you can just spray this on any joint, muscle, and it penetrates very quickly. There's enough, you have about 30 trillion cells in your body. And in one serving, which I showed you in a dropper full, there's about 80 trillion carbon-60 molecules, the size that we make. So you get about 2 or 3 carbon-60 molecules for every cell. And that's huge if you need it, if you have free radicals. Free radicals cause premature aging. They cause age spots on your skin. They cause every kind of disorder you can think of, pretty much. It causes, problems.
Okay, so if you use it, you get a lot of benefits from it. What about this idea that it also sort of helps people? I don't know, but does it help people dealing with the environment that we're dealing with? Has a lot of nano and aluminum and various things. Is it? I don't know. Does it clean the body, or does it just help the body deal with the issues?
Well, toxins, any toxin by definition, whether it's heavy metals or mercury or glyphosate or anything, any toxin you can think of, or poisons, or they're missing an electron. And that's what the definition of a toxin is. They want to steal an electron off of a molecule. So the carbon-60 molecule, it'll give an electron to the toxin, neutralize it so it can't do any damage. And we got toxins in air, food, and water all over the place. You can't get away from them. Not like 200, 300 years ago, where you didn't have these high concentrations of any metal or materials, but now they refine them and they get high concentrations and they spill or they get in the air and you breathe them. And we didn't have that 300 years ago. It just wasn't in existence.
Right. Now, is there like added research being done on C60 to expand on the ideas of it? Do you do expanded research at this time?
No, there are other people doing expanded research. Carbon-60 was only discovered in 1985. We've done a little bit in 1985, and it was Nobel prized in 1996. At the turn of the century, there were a lot of scientists looking at carbon-60 because it got a Nobel Prize. And they always thought, the medical industry thought they could put something inside of it and use that as a delivery system to deliver it. Deliver any medicine or something like that. But it's very hard to get a carbon bond apart. So I can't see that possible. And they have not been successful from what I've heard yet. So that's basically how the medical industry wants to use it.
Okay. So in terms of, there's a lot of, I guess you'd say, competition out there, right? For a lot of companies are now doing this, right? C60.
Yes, they were. I was the third company in doing this, and only because I had a clean product. And I said, mine's clean and very small in size. And now I've met with people, they picked my brain, they copycatted me, so to speak. And now there's about 100 companies out there selling carbon-60, but they buy the industrial grade, the solvent extracted, and they refine it through sublimation or some other process, but it still has a trace amount of solvent in it, in clusters,
Okay. And now you have two products, is that correct? Or do you have more?
No, we have several products. We have the oral supplement, the 45-day supply, we call it. We have our topical mist, which is a spray on. We have our face serum, which has become a hit overnight. Our face serum is we're using squalane oil, which is a very high-end oil. And we put the carbon-60 in. All of our products basically have two ingredients in it, carbon-60 and the carrier liquid. So We don't have a long list of ingredients. You don't need anything else. The carbon-60 does the work. Like on your face, it'll get rid of your sun damage and so forth, because the UV light will knock electrons off your molecules in your skin, the ultraviolet damage that you have. And that's why you use sunscreen to block out the UV. But when the ultraviolet knocks off an electron, the carbon-60 will put an electron back on, and that way your problem goes away. You have a molecule missing electrons, a bad thing. We also have a roll-on application. It's a topical roll-on. You just unscrew the cap and you can roll it on your skin without getting your hands oily. We also have a pet product for pets. One squirt, it comes in a squirt bottle. So one squirt for a small cat or a cat, and 5 squirts for a large dog. And then we have a horse product, our equine. Now this is amazing. This is how it works. My friend that started working for me, helping me out, she said, hey, my friend's down in Tucson, Arizona, they have a horse and they're foundering, their hoof's going bad. I said, well, bring some carbon-60 down there, put it on there, see if it works. And so she did. So we got the special dauber that you can daub the coronary band, like the fingernail on the horse, and spray this other water-based equine product on the bottom of the sole of the foot. And basically almost immediately within a day or so, because that's when they started putting it on, their hoof starts growing out normally, and we got picture proof on our website and testimonies on that under the equine section. So there's no placebo effect with horses or dogs or cats or anything like that. There's no placebo effect with people. Well, I'm sure there is, but we don't have a lot of people calling us up and making up stories. We get calls every day over the top, saying, hey, I tried this on this, and now I can walk. I'm things like that.
So when you say that one's topical and one you take internally, right?
Right.
So would you say, like, if somebody has something wrong with them, then which is it they should do? I mean, like both or just one?
Well, we recommend the oral supplement, 45-day supplement, to take it orally in your mouth, because then it goes throughout your whole body. Within a few minutes, it actually distributes. So it will actually seek out the worst part of your body that has the most health issue going on, because that's where most of the positively charged free radicals are. So it goes to that spot. Okay. Now say you've got a bad knee also. You can spray the topical mist on there, or you can, if you just want to get trying and start out, you can put the oil on your knee, but you're going to be oily for a couple hours. But the water-based product you can spray on your knee, and it will flood that part of your body with the carbon-60 molecules. So it'll kind of fix whatever's down at your knee. Inflammation is usually one of the bigger things that it works on. So it can flood a particular part of your body, or take it orally. We recommend taking it orally on a daily basis in the mornings, and just one dropper full, like I showed you, and then use it topically as needed for different parts of your body.
Wonderful. Okay. So is there anything else, like in terms of your own background and the things that you've studied, that you would want to share with my audience? Because it sounds like you have quite an interesting background in aerospace and all of that. Because we're sort of, I don't know if you study my work at all, but I do have a lot of witnesses that talk about the secret space program and all of that. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you did work for Lockheed. So were you, and Skunk Works, I think you said, right? Didn't you?
No, Lockheed and Martin Marietta.
Right.
It's now known as Lockheed Martin. They merged after I left.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I worked on one of the interesting things. One of the last jobs I did there, we worked, you hear about Star Wars, lasers in space, and people shooting each other, and working with carbon fiber. Carbon is very conductive thermally. So it's like copper, but 3 times more conductive than copper when you have a carbon fiber laminate. So we had a carbon fiber laminate, and they would shoot it with a laser, and on the back of that laminate, that plate of carbon fiber that was very conductive, we'd have some coils on the back, like a refrigeration coil. And so when the laser would heat up the front side of the panel and it would conduct through it, the refrigeration coil would take the heat away from it and put it on the backside of the spacecraft. In other words, kind of transfer it from instead of burning through the spacecraft, they would conduct the heat and put it out through the radiation coils on the other side, like a refrigerator.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
I mean, Star Wars is real. I mean,
Yes.
I worked on the shuttle tiles, which was a very good program. When I got out of college, I went to Lockheed and I shadowed this guy that was very smart and he was the top guru in carbon fiber. And then in 1 year's time, they transferred me over to the shuttle tile program and they put me as process engineer on the manufacturing of the shuttle tiles. And so I controlled the processing parameters. And this was like 1 year out of college. I went over there and started working on controlling the processing parameters for about 60% of the shuttle tiles. And so how much they squeeze them, how much they dry them, how much they sinter them in the kiln, what additives they put in there, what the variability is, all that kind of stuff. And then they take these billets, they're like 14 inches by 14 by 8 inches thick, and they'd machine a shuttle tile out of it, and then they would glaze it, and then they'd stick it on the bottom of the spacecraft.
Okay, so the Challenger shuttle tile issue, were you on board during that time? Do you believe that was responsible for the, the end of Challenger? Or?
Yes. Matter of fact, when the piece of ice fell off and damaged some tiles, there were about 5 tiles there. Working on the program with the shuttle tiles, we knew they weren't coming back. We knew, people that knew you could miss one tile maybe and come back, but 5 of them that were missing, it burnt a hole through on reentry, and unfortunately, what happened.
Okay, so
the Columbia was going up. That's right. Yeah, there was two disasters.
yeah, so I don't remember. Was the Columbia also a tile issue?
The Columbia, I think that's the one that went on takeoff. It burnt the hole through. You remember they said it was too cold to shoot the rocket off?
Yeah.
Well, what happens is most of the spacecraft is made out of aluminum structure. And when aluminum is cold, it actually shrinks, And so the O-ring gaskets, you always heard about them, what happens when the aluminum shrinks, the O-ring is not compressed anymore. So what happens to solid rockets shot some fuel out the side where the O-ring was loose, and that burnt a hole in the side of the spacecraft. On a launch, it blew up.
Okay, so that was the Columbia. So you were on board though during both those incidents.
Well, I was not. I was working on the Columbia issue when it took off on takeoff. No, I was working at Martin Marietta. Matter of fact, I brought a TV into our office, a small black and white TV, and we set it up there and we watched it take off, and then it blew up. It was just a sad day.
Incredible. Okay, and then for the Challenger, were you on board during that time?
No, I was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When that came in, a re-entry, and that's where some ice fell off on a re-entry and knocked some of the tiles off, and they were unfortunately doomed.
Okay. Now, in terms of have you had any, I don't know what you want to call it, but pushback with your company, like overall, or your life with regard to the C60? Is it a controversial product? What I'm saying here, or has it been a fairly smooth ride?
No, it's been fairly smooth. We're a dietary supplement. We're not a drug, so we're not FDA approved. There's no FDA approval required. We have to meet certain FDA labeling requirements, and we follow a certified good manufacturing process. We have a company come in once a year. They look at our books, make sure our traceability, our lot numbers, our bottles, or everything that we're doing has traceability in case there's a recall or something like that, which we've not had. So yeah, we follow quite the book we followed, I started out, I didn't know what I was doing, honest to God. You start out in a supplement company, we start going with, I made up some Avery labels, printed them on a bottle. Oh, then I realized, oh, now we got to put the supplement facts on there. So,
Mm.
you learn as you go, but you're
Yeah.
starting out so small that, you're not a big flag for the FDA to come and get you.
Okay. So
But
you
now
had
we have to
enough time
we
to,
follow all the requirements that we need to.
yeah. So you had enough time to develop the product, et cetera. So do you know about the history of the discovery of C60 and that, for
Yes,
example?
yes. Yeah, what they did with carbon 60s, that when they first made it, they took a laser and they beamed it onto some graphite. And the graphite goes through, carbon or graphite, um, it goes through a sublimation process. In other words, most materials go from a liquid to a solid, go from a solid to a liquid to a gas. Okay, like water's frozen ice, it goes to a liquid and then it goes to a gaseous phase. Carbon doesn't do that. There's no liquid phase of carbon. It goes straight to a gas. So it's called sublimation.
Huh.
And so they hit the carbon graphite with a laser, and some carbon 60 molecules fall off of it. And it heats it up so hot, you can find carbon 60 molecules near a tree that got hit by lightning. The carbon in the wood gets so hot, it burns up in the air. Some of it does come back as carbon 60. You can find a tiny bit of it in the tip of a candle. A very minute amount, but some of it does reformulate itself and come back as a spherical carbon 60 molecule. They found it in intergalactic space, and they believe that is probably the seed of space, a seed of life that went through space, because we're carbon-based beings. We're made out of carbon. All of our life forms here on Earth, all of our plants and vegetables and animals and humans, they're all carbon-based life forms.
Okay. Well, so you're aware of the drive to try to, for some reason, eliminate carbon from our atmosphere and
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
Well, when they say carbon credits, they talk about carbon in the atmosphere, they shortened it. It's really carbon dioxide, CO2, but they
Right.
call it carbon. So they gave carbon a bad name. But carbon by itself is not a problem, but the CO2, too much CO2, yeah, can be a problem. But the trees naturally thrive on CO2. So the more CO2 you have, the more tree growth you're going to have.
Hmm.
So it kind of balances itself out. I don't think it's really a problem personally, because just like if we have more humans breathing in the oxygen that's released from photosynthesis, we breathe in the oxygen, we breathe out CO2. The plants breathe in the CO2 and release the oxygen. So they catch up with each other. I don't foresee much of a problem with the carbon credits they talk about, unless you have a very toxic, something that's dumping, excessive amounts and, highly concentrated too much at one time.
And what would that be, for example?
Oh, like a power plant or something like that, like a coal power plant, possibly, putting the CO2 out into the air. It also, coal will put out more radiation toxicity than a nuclear power plant. You know,
Really?
they put out more nuclear toxicity, just the way the coal burns or how it works, but they prove that.
That's interesting. You don't really hear much about that.
Yeah, but carbon dioxide, it's not carbon. There's a whole different ballgame. It's a different molecule. It's a carbon atom with carbon dioxide, di meaning two, so it's got two oxygens on it. So one carbon, two oxygens, carbon dioxide. Where
Right.
carbon itself, there's many forms of carbon itself. Okay, diamond. Okay, diamond set up in a triangular pattern. It's all the molecular arrangements of the atoms is what makes different allotropes of carbon. You got diamonds, which are, clear, that they're pretty close together, and the light passes through them. The wavelengths go around them because they're only a triangular form. It's very tight, so it makes it clear. And then you got graphite, which is out of a pencil, which is many, many layers of graphene. And that's why when you write with a pencil, you take graphene is like a chicken wire, okay? And that's what it looks like. Hexagons looks like a chicken wire, flat piece of chicken wire. That's graphene. Now, graphite is many layers of that chicken wire. And that's why when you write with a pencil, a layer comes off every time. And that's how the pencils work. Okay, they leave a trail of all these little pieces of graphene, many layers thick, on your paper. And then there's nanotubes, which is basically a different molecular arrangement of the carbon atoms. And it's like a piece of chicken wire that's rolled up into a tube. Okay, and they can skew the angle of that tube a little bit too, to make different conductivity, to change the conductivity of the carbon nanotube. And they're using nanotubes for strengthening materials and products. They're using nanotubes also for people in paralysis, or where they had a spinal cord injury, where they severed the spine. And what they'll do is they'll put some of these nanotubes, because they're very conductive, they'll inject them into that severed area, and they'll exercise them a little bit so they all kind of line up. And now people are being able to feel their nerves again. Their nerves are reconnecting because the nanotubes are conductive pieces of carbon.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, so in terms of graphene oxide, what's the difference there?
Well, graphene oxide is a flat sheet of chicken wire, and it has OH groups on the outside of it.
What's an OH group?
Yeah, oxygen, hydrogen. That graphene oxide has got oxygen hung off the edges of the flat sheet of chicken wire. So now, whether they seem to be a problem or not, there's been a lot of discussion. That graphene oxide is in things, and these people in Spain said if you excite graphene oxide, it produces ionizing radiation and all that kind of stuff. Whether it's in the vaccines or not is up in the air. I have not seen any proof of it, or have firsthand.
I've seen lots of proof of it. There are images. Dr. Robert Young has quite a bit of data on that, for one thing. And there are a lot of doctors now that I've done lots of shows on that. So I happen to have a lot of, those pictures that they put out, really of the lattice and various things found in, and they're found in all the vaccines at this point.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I hear it both ways.
It's accepted. Yeah, it is accepted at this point as a fact. But you can do your own research with regard to that. All right. Is there, you know what? We have a chat room alongside this show. So I'm going to see if there's any questions here, if anyone has any questions. And then I did put my code. So if you want to buy some of this C60, then you can go to my website, and if you scroll down, you'll see an ad for it, and it'll, as I showed you here, I'll actually put this on the screen again for people to see what the ad looks like. And it really does have amazing, sort of attributes that are really great for health. Just one question before we look at the other questions. Do you consider it to assist in removing these things like, I don't know, the spike protein, nanographene oxide, all the things that people are saying are stuck in their system from the vax? Is it assist in that?
Well, it does in a roundabout way. Now, the spike protein is produced by a genetic modification. So your body produces a spike protein. The spike produces a lot of free radicals, just like radiation would produce free radicals. Okay. Radiation will knock an electron off. And that's at the very high frequencies. That's why these 5G frequencies are more dangerous than the lower frequencies. Yeah, but the spike protein will produce free radicals, and so the carbon will give an electron to that free radical to neutralize it, and so it doesn't cause any harm. But it won't stop the spike protein from producing the free radicals. but we can't arrest the free radical once it's produced. Like, for instance, on a similar pathway, mice were given a lethal dose of radiation. The ones without the carbon-60, they died. The ones with the carbon-60, it didn't even affect them. Because as soon as that electron was knocked off, the carbon-60 was in their body to put it back on. And so, I mean, that's a peer-reviewed published.
So that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
that's amazing. I mean, I've got a few other amazing stories. The most amazing one, I'll tell you,
Okay.
is I had a boy with he was in Vietnam, and he had a birthmark on the side of his face. You know, from birth, that's a genetic defect.
Yeah.
He took the carbon-60 oil and put it on there for 6 days. You know, there's a wine-colored birthmark on his face. And I've got pictures, proof on the website. His birthmark was 80% gone in like 6 days.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff like that. We have a lot of, you know, testimonies on our website to take a look at.
Excellent.
One will probably fit your need.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. All right. So now I'm gonna, unless you had anything else, I'll just look at the questions and see if there's anything here. Hold on a second, because I have to try to scroll and it's a little bit.
Well, there is one thing I can say while you're doing that.
All right.
With the HIV virus, which is a virus, you know, there's a peer-reviewed published article that carbon-60 will render the HIV virus dead. You know, by geometry, they say that the carbon-60 molecule being spherical will go inside the spherical virus and somehow render it not to reproduce itself. And same thing with the COVID. We've had really good anecdotal results with it. People that have COVID viruses and or any kind of virus.
Meaning, and it does what exactly?
Well, it appears to render the virus to not to reproduce and gets rid of the virus in your body. You
Okay,
know,
so
I mean, those are the results we've had, the peer-reviewed published with the HIV, and we've had similar anecdotal evidence with people with the actual COVID virus.
great. Now I just put into the chat a link. So that's, you know, I get a certain amount of commission as an affiliate if you buy from if you click that link, or like I said, go onto my website and click the ad that I just showed on the screen. I'll show it again. But anyway, so that's where you get it. You buy it online and you buy it at that link. And I've also put it in my Telegram in case you are, you know, it's a free, Telegram is free. So it's free to subscribe to my Telegram, and I've got about 94,000 people over there. So it's a good place to get a lot of information that I'm constantly posting every day, and a lot of times comments as well on things that are going on. So I wanted to go back to the group here and just say that if you have any questions for Bob, while we've still got him here on the show, please do type something into the, and I'm sort of losing this page because I've got too many things open. There it is. Okay. So just trying to say, so that was, where do you buy this? Now I've answered that. What is the vitamin we are all missing? Someone's asking. Does that?
Well, a lot of people say magnesium, you know. Now, being a material scientist, and I was going to study galvanic corrosion as my profession, but it was a quick read in college, so I elected not to do that. And I know a lot about, it was a short read, let's put it that way. Now, it's like a battery. You have two metals that are together inside of with an electrolyte, two dissimilar metals like lead and copper, and you have an acid solution as an electrolyte. Now, the same thing in your body, you have carbon and magnesium, okay? And what happens is the magnesium is the anode, so that's generally what they call the sacrificial anode. When you put those two together in a battery, that'll come off a few atoms at a time off of the plate of magnesium or the particle of magnesium. So when you get a particle of carbon and a particle of magnesium in your saline solution of your blood, which acts as electrolyte, you're going to pull that magnesium apart a few atoms at a time, which makes it more bioavailability. Same thing with your zinc, your copper, most of your minerals. They'll come, your conductive minerals, they'll come apart a few atoms at a time. So it helps bring those into your body much easier.
Okay, and then if I remember correctly, the fact that it's nano, again, it does it maybe faster than anything else because it's so small. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah, the smallness of size makes it more bioavailable, can travel around your body much more easily. And I always use the saying, it's easier to push a ping pong ball than a car. So if you got these small plus or minus charges, you know, the ion that's positively charged of a toxin or a free radical, and you got a small piece of carbon, you know, you want it small as you can so it attracts to it. And these are small enough to get into your mitochondria. Matter of fact, there's enough carbon-60 molecules in a serving to, you know, 2 to 3 carbon-60 molecules for every cell in your body, which is huge. You know, where, you know, I got these other carbon-60 products or other antioxidants, they got one carbon chunk for 80,000 cells. So there's a big difference when you get down small as a size. That's why all your pharmaceutical companies like to grind things down as fine as they can to make it more bioavailable to go into your body.
Right. Okay. So I think so people understand that you have a facial serum as well, right?
Correct. Yes.
And I guess let me see if I can bring up the website. In fact, at this exact moment, using my link should take us to a website, I think. But let me see if that's going to do it. But anyway, you can use my link there. And if you click on it, that should bring you to the website, right? In essence.
Yeah.
And so it's there that you will be able to look at all the products. So I'm just skimming here. So product info. And then you can scroll down to facial serum for those that are interested in that.
Yeah. And what we'll do, Carrie, is if people, even if they call in, we're going to give you credit because if they mention Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, and if you order a bottle of anything, we'll throw in this tiny little sample of the face serum. It's about a 5-day, 6-day trial little bottle. This is our normal bottle size. This is a little tiny sample bottle. So anybody that calls in and references you, or we get a link, they click the link and comes in, they get a free tiny bottle of face serum with it at no charge, just for being hooked up with Carrie.
Okay. Let me see. Did I share this properly? Maybe I didn't. Okay. So people can see this now. Sorry about that. I think that maybe I didn't share it exactly right. Okay. So this is the one with the the page with the facial serum, and the product info is here. We've got a number of products listed here. Also the stuff about what can help your pets. Because I do like to give these kinds of things to my pet, definitely. And so I think that's a really good thing to have for your pet. And you're saying there's special horses for horses. That's great. Right. And testimonials, science. So you've got a pretty thorough coverage here on your website for all kinds of aspects.
Yeah, everything we claim or say, talk about, we have it backed up and highlighted in blue to back up all of our claims. We have to, because we have to be FDA compliant. If not, they said you're making a false claim and they would shut you down.
Sure.
And so we have to make sure we have pure, that you can Google anything, any health issue in carbon-60, and you're going to find some stories about it. And most all of them are going to be positive. There are some that are negative because they use the ones that have the solvents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right. Well, this looks great. So let me go back to the questions and see if there's any other questions that I might have missed. I think I have to stop sharing that. And then hold on. Okay, yeah, here we are. So just looking to see, and if you put a question mark, that's the best way for me to find your question. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing necessarily. Someone is mentioning the SR-71 Blackbird. Do you have anything to say about that?
It's a very fast plane and it's made out of carbon fiber. That's why it's called the Blackbird. And carbon fiber is very stiff. So most things that are built are stiffness critical design. It's not strength critical. It's stiffness, how stiff the materials are. Like there's some fighter jets that are made of carbon fiber wings, and they'll flex backward and give them a little downward angle so they can fly better at higher speeds. They change the laminate structure of how they lay the fibers up to make it when the load gets on it, they bend down. You can tailor carbon fiber to do almost anything you want.
You can tear it.
Tailor.
Oh, tailor it.
Tailor, yeah. Like fabric. Basically, it is a fabric. It's a unidirectional fabric, and you can put the layers in certain angles that make it perform the way you want to perform. It's like a precursor to wood, like plywood is a form of, different laminates going 0 and 90 degrees.
Okay, very good. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's any last minute questions. So you said magnesium is the best. Someone is saying they have eczema on their hands. Would it help that? I mean, I think it's self-explanatory. It's going to help skin conditions, would you say?
Yeah, I would call them skin conditions, but I did an experiment one time. I was out in Yelm, Washington at a UFO festival, and I was speaking there. And I called people. I said, anybody got any skin issues or neck issues? One guy could only turn his neck halfway, only to one side. A muscle pain or chronic joint pain in the knuckles. 5 people came up on stage, and I said, here, put some of the. That's all we had at the time was the oil. So they put some of the oil topically on their hands. And this was pretty gutsy of me. This was back at the beginning. 5 people came up on stage and they put it on. One of them had a skin condition on their leg, and they said, oh my gosh. 5 minutes later, I turned back to the crowd and said, how do you feel? Look, I can turn my head. Oh, look, my hand doesn't hurt anymore. Look, my skin condition doesn't bother me. The 5 people,
Awesome.
the other 2 were, but they all confirmed positive. Matter of fact, we've taken our topical mist, our water-based product, to an expo, and anybody that came by with knee pain, ligament pain, muscle pain, one person had eye pain, we sprayed the carbon 60 water base on them. Out of 50 people that came by, 100% of them were relieved in 2 minutes of their pain. And this is why we say mist away your pain. I mean, it's not a numbing agent. It's not an anesthetic. It actually fixes the problem that's causing you the pain. Now, with the toxins and free radicals your body's generating, it's not a permanent fix. It'll come back. But, I have hip pain. In the night, I wake up and I go, oh gosh, you can't get back to sleep. I'll spray something on my hip, let it air dry for a few minutes, and the pain's gone.
Great. Now, someone, I guess this will be the last question. Someone is asking how beneficial it is. I don't know if you can even answer this question, but it's hypothetical. How beneficial is C60 to vaccinated people? I mean, it's going to help anybody, I think, vax or no vax, but is it specifically, I guess the person is kind of wondering.
Well, yes, I believe it will help them. Yes, because it gets rid of the free radicals that are generated, and carbon 60 is a free radical eradicator. It gives it an electron and neutralizes the positive charge of a free radical. So yes, people have had vaccine damage. People have had problems. They've taken the carbon 60 product and they've seen positive results. And these are like putting throwing magnets together, round magnets in your bathtub. They stick together. It's done. It's over. The job's complete. You're feeling better quickly. I've had people that had long health issues for decades, and they put this on their neck or wherever it was, and within a half hour, they're going, oh my gosh, I feel better. I mean, it sounds too good to be true, but call me up and I'll tell you stories. If you got a particular problem, I'll tell you one that was very similar because we have thousands of testimonies.
Okay, now there is a phone number. I'm going to put this ad on here. So you've already addressed this, but I did see someone in the comments didn't maybe hear this part, but it does help with radiation. And the reason is, do you want to explain that briefly again?
Yes.
I know you already explained it, but
Okay. Let me do this. This is a piece of paper. We'll call this one sine wave, okay, going across here. You got one sine wave, which is a low frequency radiation. Okay, you can put a dot on this page. You have high frequency, and it goes across the page. There's a greater probability that it's going to hit that dot. Now, if you go very, very high frequency, which is like gamma rays and X-rays, you're going to hit the dot, and you're going to knock the electron off. And that's what radiation does. It knocks electrons off of molecules. It's called ionizing radiation because it ionizes it, it turns it into an ion, which is a positively charged molecule. Carbon-60 gives up electrons, and it gives an electron to that ionized molecule and neutralizes it. It goes back to normal.
yeah,
Now
so it matches with it. So
yes.
it neutral. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's nano, again, it'll do this quite quickly, I imagine. So it'd be great for people that actually do have any kind of exposure to radiation, right?
Yes, yes.
So just curious, because people that work in the space program probably get exposed to radiation fairly often in various aspects of it. So do they come to you or do they not?
No, they don't. We've tried to reach out to them, but it's hard to get into the top, like we go to even to, athletic performance goes, everyone who's taken our product for athletic performance has taken first place. Everybody that's taken it.
Wow.
Now, even if they're 50% of the pack, I had one girl move up from 50% of the pack in a foot race, and she came up and took first place that first weekend she took the product. Now, it helps get rid of the oxidative stress that is caused and the delayed onset muscle soreness that you get after a hefty workout. So you can lift more weights, do more reps without the muscle soreness. You want to be careful because it's going to fire your muscles a little bit faster than your ligaments need to build up a little bit. So if you're going to start out with it, don't try to be Superman and overdo it. Because you might pull a ligament or a tendon. So you want to be very careful. But you will, like in a couple of weeks, you'll add more. Like one hockey player, he's told me that he added 15 pounds to his and did the same number of reps in a month's time, which is huge. Yeah. I had a runner that ran 2 miles, and you knock 3 seconds off a 2-mile race. That's he knocked 23 seconds off a 2-mile race.
Okay.
Athletic performance is amazing, and how you feel in aging, and since we're talking about free radical damage, you got the UV rays coming in from the sun. This will put that electron back on in your skin, and your skin will feel softer, and it works relatively quickly. People have good results. It's become a real big seller of ours almost overnight.
Lovely. All right. So I want to thank you very much because you're very clear and very easy to follow, I think. So I think my audience is liking this interview as well. So like I said, the ad is on my site. Just scroll down. I put the ads of the second half. So the top half is my work. Bottom half is the ads and so on. So you'll see the ad. It's a pretty big ad, and just click the ad and that should take you to the website. And that's the way I get credit as an affiliate if you want to do it that way. So, and then the phone number is on this. I guess I'll just put this on the screen one more time, just for people that want to. It's on the ad. This is the ad that's actually on my website. So you're going to see it on my website as well, but see the phone number at the bottom. So that's kind of cool because I think people often have personal questions, and that they're going to appreciate that.
Yeah, and we answer the phone with a live operator, live person. I call anytime. we have people standing by, or it rings at the office and my cell phone at the same time. So in the evening, I'll pick up the phone. I'm tremendously excited about this product and want to help people. And that's my mission in life. After making bombs of mass destruction, we wanted to move into, health and human performance and help people instead of blow them up.
Nice to know. Nice to hear too. All right. Thank you again, Bob, for being here. And let's see what happens with everything. And thank you everyone for watching. And if you want to contact him, please do so. If you want to give him feedback, if you want to try it, etc. And you can also write to me at Carrie@projectcamelot.tv if you just want to give me some feedback. I'm certainly going to let Sean David Morton know about this interview, and he needs some help. And so I think there's only benefits as far as I can tell from this product.
Yeah, there's no negative, no downside. There's no interactions with medications, or there's no toxicity. You could drink the whole bottle. It's safe for kids. It's safe in utero. I had one couple call me up and they said, our 3-year-old child is just way advanced, way ahead of everybody. We took your product during the entire pregnancy.
Oh,
and you got to imagine that baby was assembled without toxins.
cool.
Because
Yeah.
this is a super toxin stabilizer, gets rid of toxins.
Well, okay. So
Okay.
I think that's great. I think also flying on planes, you get hit by a lot of radiation. I would think that would be really great for that too.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, I like to travel, so I do that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you everyone for being here today. And we'll be back. And actually I'm going to have Brooks. Sorry, I don't have his last name in front of me, but this wonderful scientist on tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. I'm going to have Robert Young on Friday, and he's got a wonderful product as well. But he's also a doctor, and he's talking about various things. And he's always a great guest, and I've had him on a couple times. So that's what's coming up. So stay tuned and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.